Shivani Madan. Ma'am, you're welcome on our podcast. So, for the listeners who don't know Shivani ma'am, she's a, great communication skills expert. She's certified with NLP and she is also a soft skills trainer. Plus, she's a post trainer and consultant for the companies, for HR managers at the company. So, ma'am, I hope that words are sufficient to introduce you. I know that are not sufficient, but you know what I mean, right? So, ma'am, welcome to our podcast, and thank you first of all for giving us your time.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for this opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. So, today we are going to more specifically we are going to talk about the soft skills and how they help us and how why they are most important. It's one of the most important. This is someone for anyone's career. So, ma'am, let's start with your story. That how communication skills or soft skills has helped you to grow as an individual in your career.
So, I would say soft skills are very important for any individual. And if I
Mm-hmm.
talk about my case, I get paid for talking to people. So, for me, soft skills is definitely very important. And like there are a lot of hard skills that school would acquire us with, as in knowledge of different subjects, about accountancy, about getting marks. But there are a lot of things that life needs to prepare us for if we need to get through the corporate world, if we need to interact with people, build relationships. That is the place where soft skills definitely help. And I have been in this profession where I train people for soft skills. I help them improve their communication skills. And these are the skills that equip you to get better in the corporate world and also in your personal life.
Yeah. So this is something that nobody teaches you, right? Schools or colleges doesn't teach you. There are some subjects in colleges, right? But there are not so much detail like the hard skills part, right? So when someone is great at talking or something, they don't get much appreciation in school or colleges, which is the foundational year of your careers. So how did you landed yourself into this communication or soft skills career? That this could be a dream job for anyone to speak well, right? That they are earning money with while talking to people. So how did you landed yourself and how did you identify that you have a passion about this thing?
So when we were studying, there was no subject known as soft skills or communication skills. I
Yeah.
believe a lot of colleges and institutes are still trying to teach that. At that time, it did not exist. So I had this typical career aspiration of any student of my age would have, that I need to get a job in an MNC, which I
Mm-hmm.
landed with. So I got up a job with City Financial. It was a coveted job, high salary, good designation, and it did make a lot of sense in the beginning. But then I realized that this is not something that I would like to do in the next 20 or 30 years of life. And while working in that job, so the first job that I landed was I was working as a relationship manager with City Financial, and our job used to go and meet clients, probably pitch sales to them. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was not really good at converting those sales, what I was good at was talking to those people, building a rapport with them. So long after I left the organization, I was still in touch with a lot of these people, and they did help me out to even find better avenues for career for myself. So I got into HR. Gradually, that was a field I have always been interested in, and I also studied. And when I was in HR, we did a lot of trainings, and we realized again the same thing, that we get the students from the best institutes, but still they're good with the hard skills. They would have the technical know-how, but they would not have the attitude to work through the job. They would not have the right communication skills to talk to people, to work in a team. If there's an ambiguity, how to handle it. And that's when I realized, okay, soft skills is an area we need to work on. And we involved a lot of trainers there, where we took their help to inculcate these skills in it. And gradually I realized that this is something I'm passionate about. I can create a difference by helping people develop their soft skills. And I gradually landed up with my own venture. I quit my job, I started my own startup, Proud HR Services, and we got completely into soft skills training.
Oh, okay. So there is a general misconception about the whole soft skills and communication skills, right? Like people consider communication skills is the only there is the only communication skills in the soft skills, but there are a lot of more aspects than communication skills, which comes under soft skills. So can you please throw more light on what comes under the
So
soft
I think
skills rule?
soft skill is a much broader concept. If we would talk about, it would include things like empathy, and I think that's a skill that is very much in need today. So we are facing the pandemic times where a lot of people are feeling mentally not okay. They need help. So if you can empathize and see where the other person is coming from, it would help you to get things done in a better way, form better relationships, and build a professional rapport for you in the long run. So I think
Hmm.
empathy is very important. Then being a team player, like whatever work we do, whether in a personal life or professional life, it is generally done in a groups. So you have to
Hmm.
achieve a goal and you have to work together for it. So you can't do everything alone. That's something that is not really taught in the schools, that you have to work together. What is taught in the schools is everyone has to compete against each other, and the moment you enter the professional life you realize that you are all bounded by some or the other groups. Then there's a company that you all belong to, so you need to work together. So team being a team player is a very very important skill. Then adapting to the VUCA world. So VUCA world is like volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous times that we are facing today. We all have to adapt and work in this world. So adaptability to change, being flexibility is another soft skill that most of the corporates are looking at right now, because they want people who can adapt as per the changing environments. So today we have COVID, we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So we need people who can handle these changes and fit themselves in, still generate productivity. And another
Hmm.
soft skill that I think is really important, considering what all I have spoken right now, is problem solving. So we would need an employee who comes to us with solutions and not with problems. So problems
Yeah.
are prevalent all around. We are looking for people who come up to us and say, I have solution one, I have solution two, I have solution three. Now you pick which is the best one. So that's what I think a lot of corporates or HR people are looking at when they hire people. And soft skills would include so much more. So it would be like creative thinking, decision
Hmm.
making. So it's just pretty long.
Hmm. So, ma'am, I want to lay emphasis on the empathy, right? Like many more topics are much clearer, but this empathy is really being ambiguous. Like on social media nowadays, where everyone is talking about soft skills, mental health, and everything. There are a lot of people talking about empathy with different perspectives. So it is getting ambiguous, more and more ambiguous. So, what is your definition of empathy? And followed to that, I want to know if empathy could be developed in you or not. Like, are you born with it or you could develop it afterwards? What is the whole empathy thing?
So empathy is a soft skill like any other people skill or life skill. It can be developed, and
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of experiences that change you in life. So empathy would be something as simple as putting yourself in another's shoes. So if one of your team members or colleagues is not performing, or you find that he's taking a lot of leaves, or just generally he feels a little off, he tends to get angry at small times, or he tends to get withdrawn. This is a time that you need to reach out to the person and figure out what he's going through. Chances are he's going through depression, anxiety, or just maybe stress. And to understand from their point of view, help them out with the situation is really required. So, like they say, there are no bad people, there are only bad situations. So, people might be going through a lot of situations. If we can understand them, help them get through that situation, we can help them improve their productivity in the long run. And most importantly, we build those relationships, we build that feeling of trust, which no amount of trainings or sessions would do. It is all about being there for your people and understanding things from their point of view.
Okay, okay, got it. So, ma'am, I want to have a follow-up question. That what are the three important skills, right? Like I don't want the just soft skills. What are the three topmost skills that you believe that if you have these three skills in your career, then you are going to ace it in any field? What are those three according to you?
So, I would again start with communication, and I think communication is very, very important. And like even like I like to clarify what communication is about.
Yeah.
Most people think communication is about speaking English. So
Hmm.
it's not about fluency in a language. It is about communicating your ideas in a right and precise way. So right now,
Hmm.
like I'm talking to you, and you are not able to understand what I'm saying. So that means my communication system has failed. So
Yeah.
I need to ensure when I'm talking to you, I convey in a way that you can understand, and at the same time, when someone is talking to me, I put down my gadgets, I maintain eye contact and listen. That's very important. So, we are called the generation of silent communicators because we don't like talking to each other anymore. We would rather text, right? So, for anything, I'll just ping you. So that's the kind of communication that is evolving in people. And what has happened is a lot of students are not prepared for having effective face-to-face communication. So when I am supposed to deal with people who are standing in front of me, I wouldn't like doing that. I would be more comfortable sending text to people. So that is something that really needs to be developed. Then second thing I feel is resilience is very, very important. So what happens is our society is such, our corporate structure is also such, you will meet with a lot of negative feedback, there will be setbacks that you face. Now how effectively do you bounce back from such kind of situations is really important. So the moment you say, okay, I'm going to give up, your story gets stopped right there. So every time there's a setback, you have to tell yourself, it's okay, now this is over, this is what I've learned, now I have to keep myself going. So I think that's very, very important for all of us to have that resilience with us. And I think another thing that's very, very important is, as I mentioned earlier as well, working in this VUCA world, we have to be extremely flexible, agile. We have to think on our feet. Now, this is the current scenario. What do I do right now? Chances are tomorrow the situation would change again. What do I do now? So we have to be flexible enough to change as per the circumstances that continuously keep evolving.
Okay, got it. So you talked about communication skills, right? It is very important. Now you also focused on a very, 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 very important topic in communication skills that I believe is listening, right? You mentioned it clearly differently, right? So what is the thing is, many people are not focusing on listening while while learning communication skills. So how could someone practice listening, or how could someone learn listening? What framework you use in your training, or whatever it is? If you could share something to develop listening.
So there's a phrase that Buddha said, and I would like to rephrase it. So as long as your mouth is open, you are not learning. Whenever I talk to any person, so that's what I would personally do. So whenever I'm talking to any person on a professional basis, on a personal basis, I meet them with the point of view that I will be able to learn something out of this conversation. And I listen. There are a lot of things that you would have heard, things like body language, maintain eye contact, nod your head, smile. While all of these are things that you can do, what is really important is put your attention right there, and these things will follow. So it's not something you have to do consciously. You just have to keep your phone aside, and most importantly, get your thoughts outside. So it might happen that I'm just listening to you, nodding my head, keeping complete eye contact, but my mind is somewhere else. So my mind has to get back to what the person is saying, focus on it, and you are listening. So it's not an easy skill. It requires a lot of energy, much more than talking. So I'm sure you're listening to me right now. You can understand that there's a lot of energy involved when you're listening to someone. But with practice, it can happen. You just have to give that person your undivided focus. And once you do that, your listening skills would improve, your interpersonal relationships would improve drastically. So everybody loves to interact with a great listener.
Does that also affect the level of empathy that you have?
Absolutely. So what happens is, generally what we do is, when we're talking to someone is, we listen to reply. We don't listen to understand. And the moment you start listening to understand, the empathy level would go up. So you would stop judging people. And like I'm into mental wellness field, so there it's very, very important that we listen to the deepest, darkest possible secrets of a person and don't judge them about it. That's what counseling is all about. But I believe all of us can counsel our friends, our relatives, and be there for them just by listening to them. Let them vent out whatever they feel and not judge them for it. Don't interrupt them in their conversations. And any person would get out of that conversation feeling much better, feeling inspired, and feeling that you're there for them. I think that's what matters in the end.
Mm-hmm. And along with listening to the words and everything, you also need to pick up the body languages, and you also need to respond like that, right? That is also part of listening. So what I believe is that along with these three skills that you mentioned, right, there is a very very important skill, if you could learn it, to always keep a very fresh smile on your face. That also helps, I think. What is your take on that?
So yes, I think small little techniques like maintaining eye contact, not all the time, but at least 60 to 70% of the time, just nodding and being there for them. But I believe
Mm-hmm.
all these body language skills would automatically follow if you're listening to them. The idea is not to fake attention. The idea is to genuinely listen to a person. Like I do so many sessions on communication skills where I ask people to share their experiences, good and bad, about communication. No, whatever I talk about does work, but that is the highlight of the session because people like to share their experiences. They would like to let me know what they have gone through. So it's all about
Okay.
people sharing, opening up. The moment they do that, the moment they feel heard, you automatically create a connect which they would remember.
Okay. So there is also a thing like sometimes it comes impromptu, right? So what I believe is that in communication or in soft skills majorly, right? You don't remember things. You don't learn skills to remember, right? It comes into your behavior. Once you practice soft skills, it comes into your behavior. Like we are talking, and you are not thinking like that. अभी मैं ऐसे आंसर करूंगी या फिर like I need to answer like this to this question. I will put in some empathy. You are not thinking of that in mind, right? It comes from the attitude. So what do you think about that?
So I definitely agree with this. So there are so many self books available which tell you how to make friends, how to make your personality better. YouTube is full of it. And I believe it would help, but in the short term, if you want to get your personality associated with a particular trait or build a reputation around it, you have to be genuine with it. You have to be authentic with it. So, like, I have a social media presence, but my social media presence resonates with what I am as an individual. So, being
Hmm.
authentic is very, very important. Like I said, if you are listening to someone with all your attention and you have no idea of any soft skills, it will show. If you care for a person genuinely, if some of your friend is going through a bad time and you're like, I'm there for you, or you just put a tap on his shoulder and say, मैं हूँ यहाँ पर, that makes
Hmm.
such a difference. It's not about the definitions, it's just about having the right intention, being aware that these things matter, and then practicing it.
Okay, okay, great. So, my next question is that I've known a lot of people who are great communicators, but only in the situations where they are prepared, right? Like if someone is had to give a presentation, if someone have the speech ready, they are a great communicator. But all of these kind of communicators fail when it comes to impromptu speaking, right? Because I believe that impromptu kind of speaking is very very difficult. If something impromptu comes on you, as I said, that if it is not in your behavior attitude, you will fail at it. So, what are your suggestions if you want to improve your impromptu soft skills?
So, if you want to work on your impromptu skills, the first thing is working on the essentials. Like I said, communication would have different part. It includes your verbal communication, so that is the use of words, the kind of tone you have, the pace you have, the body language. Now, all these things, the first thing is you have to be aware that communication consists of all these things. You
Hmm.
have to practice it through at times. So probably in front of the mirrors you can just record your voice over your phone, listen to it, how you sound. You can take feedback from your friends, develop
Hmm.
it as much as possible, practice it. And last is just the right intention. I need to have that intention very clear that I want to create great conversations, I want to build great rapport, I want to have good relationships. If that is there, skills will automatically follow.
Hmm. So the one method that you suggested to speak on front of mirror or record your voice, I personally practiced it when I was starting, when I was in the starting phase of developing my personality and communication skills. So then that really helped me. So I am an example of that. I want to say that yeah, this communication skills and soft skills are really important. But so under soft skills, there comes one more aspect. That is personality, right? And
Yes.
people believe that personality, most of the people believe that personality is what you wear, how you look, right? But it is not actually exactly that. Like you could change your personality. So please differentiate us that how looks and personality are different, because many people are not comfortable with their body. If someone's skin tone is dark, if someone is short in height, if someone's fat, they people are not comfortable, and this compromise their personality. So how could people come out of that, and what makes a personality really good?
So, if we talk about the personality, it is again a very big spectrum that we are talking
Hmm.
about. If we talk about your physical characteristics, as in how tall, how short, how fair, how dark you are, and here society places such a pressure on us that you need to
Hmm.
look a certain way. On the top of it, we have social media where you see this picture
Yeah.
perfect, models, and you see their homes. Everything seems to be so perfect. So that is one pressure that is created. Now, if I talk to anyone how he or she needs to develop their personality, the first thing they need to do is be aware of what they think about themselves, and do they think they are worth it. So generally, I have observed, especially in the millennials, self-worth is very, very low. So there is a
Hmm.
lot of self-talk that I would have with myself, and I say I'm not good enough, I'm not as fair, I'm not as smart, I don't speak as good English. So there are so many negative notions that we have with ourselves. The first thing to do is to work on your own personality in terms of talking to yourself and saying I am good, so I have this self-worth, I am good enough. And if you have to, there are a lot of times I have seen that people have these issues starting from childhood, that parents would say certain things or some well-meaning relatives would say things. It has a larger impact. So things like, positive self-affirmation, saying positive things to yourself every day in the morning, every day in the night, or as many times in the day as possible, helps to restore that self-worth. Then second thing is, it's important what you wear. I think the most important thing that you can wear every single day in every single conversation is a smile.
Yeah.
So no matter how well you are dressed up, if you have a grumpy face or you're scowling, nobody likes you. So simple things like smile, listening to people, helping them out, they create a very positive personality about yourself. So chances are you would have friends who are very, very good looking, and when you really got to know them, you realize how shallow and selfish they were, and you kind of restricted your relationship with them. Has happened to all of us. So looks do matter, dresses do matter. I'm not saying don't play importance to them. What is the most important thing according to me is how I feel about myself. So that's something that needs to be worked upon. How comfortable I am in my own skin. So I can probably go to a public gathering where everybody is dressed in formals and I would be casual, and I can still manage to carry it. So it is the kind of confidence I have in myself. Have a smile, be good to people, and it generally works.
Okay. So, ma'am, one last question. That if you have to give younger Shivani Madan a suggestion to develop the soft skills when you were no clue, or when you were learning all these things, when you are developing yourself, what would be that piece of advice?
My first piece of advice would be, again, work on your self worth, your
Hmm.
confidence level, you're good enough, and practice a lot whatever you get to know of. There's so many things that we can learn every possible day. Learn them and imbibe them. So it typically takes 21 to 28 days to develop any new skill or habit. Spend that time with yourself and improve that habit or
Hmm.
that skill that you're looking to develop in yourself. And I think I would see wonders there. I would like to do a lot of things the right way if I had the time. But yeah, that's a bit of it.
Yeah. So, ma'am, thank you once again for joining us on our podcast. And people who are listening, please comment down that which next topic we should be having with the Shivani ma'am on the podcast. As I said, she's a great communication skills trainer. She's a post trainer. She's an HR expert. She is also a certified with NLP. Ma'am, I would really love to have a next podcast about NLP. So, on the recording, are you up for it?
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, I will link down all the Shivani Ma'am's all the social media handles in the description. Specifically check out her LinkedIn. She has a good enough content over there, and you will come to know more about her. So, ma'am, thank you for the coming for your time and for your coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.